Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, a stand-up comedy and lifestyle podcast I host out of my apartment. My guest today is Jaylen Orr, a Greenville stand-up comedian that is a good friend of mine. And this is one of the favorite episodes I've done so far. It's only our third one, but Jaylen is a great guy. I mean, we've really hit it off. I've known him for the past year of me doing stand-up comedy. And I really like Jaylen's story. He started stand-up comedy at a very young age. He's only 24 now, and he's got a great future ahead of him. And he's very wise beyond his years. And one of the cool things about him is he's a DJ at the Comedy Zone. The Comedy Zone is a club downtown Greenville that hosts a lot of big-name celebrity comics. So he's met a lot of them. We talked about some great stories of meeting those guys. He's got a lot of interesting, fun stories about how we met. And even at his young age, he's got a lot of wisdom there. And this guy's going to go far. So I hope you listen to it, learn a lot about Jaylen. And here's the interview. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome to another interview of I Did This Instead of Killing Myself. I just told Jaylen the name of the podcast. Did he? You like the name, Jaylen?
I think it's very you.
You might need to see the trailer to get the context.
Oh yeah, you haven't shown me the trailer yet.
Yeah,
I'll check it out after we.
You can have edit rights to this if you don't want this to go public. But yeah, this is a stand-up comedy and lifestyle podcast, and Jaylen is one of my good friends in the stand-up comedy scene here in Greenville. Yeah. Jaylen is how long are you doing comedy?
Officially, I started like April 2019, but as you know what happened in 2020, I still don't consider myself a full 2 years, so I say a year and a couple months because from March until December.
You know, you're pretty honest. You're pretty honest. A lot of comics, when they ask how long they've been doing it, they fudge it on the other side. I like that you downplay a little bit. You got it real precise down to the months.
Humble. I try to be as humble as possible.
It matches your getup right now. No, I like it. So Jaylen walked in today, and if you're watching on video, you can see this. But Jaylen is dressed very professionally. He's got a lot of swag.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's got a black tie on and nice slacks and a dress shirt. I feel like a bum because I haven't had a job where I've had to dress in business casual for years.
Well, look, I wouldn't even say because I don't like dressing like this until like more recently. But like before I started working, I used to be like everyone else. Like these are monkey suits. I don't want to be wearing this all the time. Like, take this off of me. But the more and more I wear it, it is kind of just nice to have on good clothing from time to time. So
right. Well, no, I'm impressed because you are only a year or so out of school, right?
A year and a half.
2 years out of school, so he's much younger than a lot of us. So I remember when I had my first job, like my first office job out of college. Yeah. I went to like Joseph A. Bank to get, and my mom was helping me, but my mom didn't have any sense of style,
Yeah.
So like the pinks would be too baggy, they'd be pleated,
Ooh.
And my body, like I was a bigger guy after football, so nothing fit me right. But like you're yeah. You got your swag on.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I've always been like the kind of guy to where like I'll have some idea of how not to look bummy,
Yeah.
But I still haven't got to that level of like my full swag yet.
Yeah.
Like I still need a little bit more time to develop that, and I'll be able to fully come into my sense of style. Because I'm trying to change my wardrobe right now into what I want it to be for stand up, essentially. Which is where like I don't know if I want to do more like suit and ties when I go on stage or more the casual, like casual clothing. I'm leaning towards like the kind of suit and tie for like big shows and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I kind of like that. I've seen you do stand up a lot, and I've seen you do it more casually, like you're wearing a t-shirt or your that Carolina sweatshirt I always see you wearing.
Clemson.
A Clemson as well. No, you have Panther sweatshirt too.
Oh yeah, the Panther sweatshirt.
I gave you crap because you wore that 2 days in a row. I was like, dude, did you
it's a jacket, like it's a hoodie. He acting like I can't wear a hoodie 2 days in a row. It's like, bro, it's a hoodie.
Dude, I don't know. It was
like, you bum, you don't own more than one hoodie. It's like, bro, I can wear a hoodie twice. I can wear it like 8 days. Yeah. 8 days in a row without washing it, I believe.
I shouldn't be giving you crap. I wear like flip flops and gym shorts and a white t-shirt for my first 2 months on stage.
Oh, I do remember that. I remember your first time. I don't know if it was your first time, but it was the first time I saw you on stage at Comedy Zone.
Yes.
That was your first time?
Yes. Well, I was going to tell this story. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's your story. You tell it.
No. What do you remember?
Okay, what do I remember? I remember from that night, you came to the sign-up booth, and then you came to me in the back just to be like, okay, what do we do? And I was like, oh, yeah, just sit down, man. We'll get you up. You on the list, blah, 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 blah. You had on your baggy shorts and a T-shirt and some flops, and I was like, okay. He goes on stage, and just to throw this out there, maybe people didn't like the jokes David did that night, but I absolutely loved them. You had this one joke to where you talked about female pilots or something like that, and it absolutely bombed.
Yes, it did. Well, I don't know if you liked it or not. What I remembered about it was horribly written. Horribly. It came across really sexist, and I still tell the joke today, but I do it a lot differently. Right. But I remember afterwards, it bombed so hard that you went up on stage after me and said, man, I'm really glad I got to follow that misogynist a-hole. And I saw you and I didn't know you. I was like, that dick, I got to know what I was doing. I got so mad, and I was like, damn it, Jaylen.
Which is kind of funny because now that I know you, you are a little bit more like sensitive when it comes to if you don't know the person talking shit about you because you don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, totally.
Because in my mind, I thought it was clear that I'm just freaking around. Sorry.
I'll edit that. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'm just messing around, making fun, teasing. Because, you that's one thing you got to do. Because I was hosting that night.
Right.
So, when you hosting, a big obvious thing is that you got to, address things in the room. And if something's awkward or there's some kind of energy, you have to address it as the host.
Yeah.
Or the next few comics are just going to have a terrible set. Or they may address it. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and say it. I know what everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
This guy's a misogynist.
No, I had it coming for sure. And, I don't care now. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. But yeah.
To be fair to you, though, I think, so I was jokingly saying misogynist 100%. I literally knew you were joking and I didn't have any thoughts about you. I just said that because that's the energy people gave off. But
oh yeah, dude, I felt it when I said that women can't women can't drive. The whole audience, they weren't smiley. It was it wasn't just they didn't get the joke or were silent. It was they were angry silent. I was like, oh.
Yeah, man.
Oh, gosh.
My thing is, I wish we could, talk about a little bit more taboo subjects. But as I heard a Chris Rock joke today when he was being black, you get more opportunities to talk about things because you're disenfranchised. So, essentially, since you aren't disenfranchised, you don't have a lot of room to
Oh, dude, no.
Do
no,
much.
The straight white male privilege thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate you as soon as you get up there, but no, it's no excuse. It's hard for anybody to be funny. So
yeah, that's what I was
nobody
say.
has an easy path, but yeah, I remember that night distinctly. Jaylen is not only is he a stand-up comic, but he works at the Comedy Zone as a DJ. So you spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, this wasn't part of the questions I prepared, but we get a lot of celebrity comics coming through. Do you have a favorite celebrity comic that you got a chance to meet here in Greenville?
Ooh, that's a great question. Wow. So I've had interactions with most of them. Who would I say is my favorite? So a few have been very brief. So I'm gonna name everyone who I've met, and then
these are name drop, man. I want to hear some.
This is just
I want to hear some swag name drops.
Okay, but these are just the brief encounters, and then the brief encounters I've met D.L. Hughley, Lavell Crawford. I didn't.
Lavell Crawford is Hughley on Breaking Bad.
Yes, Hughley.
Big fan of that guy on that show, and his stand-up was hilarious. We watched that show together, one of the shows.
Bro, when I was telling everyone, he is now my goal in terms of how funny I want to be. Because when I tell you, David, during his whole show, I was beating on the person who was next to me. You know how you're laughing so hard, you just have to hit someone.
Yeah.
I was on the verge of assault.
Yeah.
I was hitting the person beside me. I was laughing so hard, bro.
Yeah.
He was hilarious.
And I remember I only saw one show, and you said that you had seen 4 sets at least throughout the weekend, and none of them were identical.
Yeah,
he
up to that
moved
point.
material around, and which is really impressive. I mean, the fact that he's doing I think he did like an hour and a half, right? He wasn't.
He
just
does an hour and a half, and then like 25 minutes of each of those 4 shows was different. So it was like, maybe an hour of it is the same in terms of material, but like you said, he'll move it around, blah 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 blah. But each show, I heard a different joke at some point, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
And I think we were observing as we were watching him, like, dude, he's being funny without seeming like he's trying, but like everything he's saying is like, dude, how could you get to that level where it seems so natural?
Right. I think that's what goes into it. Like once people, because me and my friends talk about this a lot, is trust. Like essentially as a stand-up comic, once you've been doing it as long as he has, people trust you with jokes to where like rather than coming on being like, oh, what this guy's about to say next,
right? They're
more so like, oh, what's this guy about to say next? Like you like what Brandon says, where he's like, go ahead and have a half smile on your face. Yeah. The celebrities don't have to tell them that because they know.
Yeah, they're already like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I saw you on TV. Like,
literally.
I love you. It took a lot to get the crowd to turn on you. If they
essentially our job right now is figuring out how to get good, and then also gaining that trust with the crowd.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we're kind of like in the lower stages of the stand-up thing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. For me, like likability is a big thing to try and establish early, because they won't laugh at you if they don't like you.
Right.
So making a sexist joke was the worst possible thing I could have done.
There are people who like use that style of having the crowd against you and making them laugh.
Yeah, or if they're obviously playing a character.
Yeah. Antagonistic. I would definitely say we both can. Like, I think as of late, I've noticed you've had much more confidence on stage and willing to try different jokes than like what I would figure is your usual cashier jokes, like your Danish joke. I'm not gonna tell it, but that's just something I never would have expected you to be.
The Dutch joke?
Yeah, the Dutch joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing that you would ever talk about. And so I was like, oh, okay, look at him expanding his wheelhouse a little bit.
I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just trying. But that's cool, man. So any other celebrity comics, or are those the ones that come to mind?
Oh, those were the ones I met briefly, and then the one I had the longest interaction with was this past weekend, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, I missed him.
Funny. Like all of those guys are funny. But, like, I got to actually hang out with Bruce and talk with him, and he was messing with me the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I kind of have a slight rapport in the sense of that. But I think he'll do that with anyone. Like, he's cool enough. He'll just mess with anybody. But
sure.
I got to see him and talk to him most shows, whereas, like, with everyone else, it was just one interaction. I was like, hey.
Yeah, I gotcha. The one that really cracked me up was a few weekends ago when Bobby Kelly or Robert Kelly.
Oh, him too, yeah.
That the big guy, he's where's he from? Is he a Boston comic or New York comic?
I know he's like in Bill Burr's like wheelhouse
circle or whatever. Yeah. I was dying laughing because he was about to go on stage and he walked by, and I kind of did this to him, just hoping he'd acknowledge me back. Just gave him a little head nod, and then he looked at you, deadpan, and just flipped you off. Just jokingly, I was dying.
Yeah, I do remember that.
He was just like, he's kind of got that chubby build. He's just walking around like, F you, Jaylen, and just like we would do to each other. He was just like screwing around.
I loved it though. I loved it.
Yeah, no, it was so funny. It was obviously just joking around.
Yeah, I don't think I answered your question though. To answer your question, my favorite interaction. Okay, so Bruce was the coolest because I got to spend the most time with him. But my favorite interaction, because it was the most influential to me, was D.L. Hughley.
Okay.
Because it was only 10 seconds,
but
literally when I met him, like. I'm going to tell the story quickly. That way we can get into the next thing. So I was trying to meet him all weekend because I was like, I just want to talk to him just a little bit. Nothing crazy. Just say, yo, what's up? My name's Jaylen. Nice to meet you. Blah, 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 blah. And as the weekend progressed, like I was missing him. So on the last day, I was like, bump it. I'm just walk into the green room, see if they'll let me talk to him.
Yeah.
And like sometimes for certain celebrity shows, they don't let you do that because they're a celebrity. And I wasn't even going to do nothing crazy. I was just going to be like, yo, nice, good weekend, D.O., blah, 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 and leave.
Yeah.
But his managers and things didn't let me in. So I was like, oh, okay, it's cool, no problem.
Right.
And the first thing that I liked about it was like when I opened the door, I just smelled the best smelling cigars of my life.
Yeah.
And I don't even smoke, but that literal scent made me want to start smoking immediately.
So Mr. Hughley was in there.
He was in there, but
smoking a cigar.
He was smoking a cigar.
That's pretty badass.
And it smelled so delicious. And I was like, dang, I didn't get to meet him. So I'm leaving the Comedy Zone. I was literally the second to last person to leave just because I was like waiting for whatever. And I was like, I got to go home. And so as I'm going home, you know the staircase that we take where the green room is?
Yeah.
So
right.
as I was getting on the level that the green room was in, he left that literal second. So he was the last person leaving. And I'm about to go talk to him in the sense of like, oh, I'm going to say, oh, cool, this is awesome.
Yeah.
The literal second I take a step towards him, his big behind dog just came out of the room. And I was like, what the freak? And I started running back up the staircase.
Who was it, like a bodyguard?
No, his dog.
His dog? He had his literal dog in there?
He had his literal dog with him. It is awesome, but it was just too big. And here's the part that got me.
I didn't know they let dogs into the comedies. Well, I guess there's one comic that does bring his dog, but
yeah.
Okay, continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. He brought his dog was coming towards me, not in an aggressive way, but it just bothered me how big this dog was. And here's the thing: he had a leash on it, but nobody was holding the dog's leash.
Right.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And so as I was running up the stairs, he's like, "Nah, come down, young fella. He ain't gonna bother you. And I was like, "All right." And he had on the nicest suit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And so
little influence on your style.
That's what I was about to say. As soon as I saw him, I was like, "Hey man, you did a great job." Blah 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 blah. He dapped me up. He said, "Appreciate it, young fella. Keep on grinding." And just kept going. And when I saw him, I was like, you know what? I think I will start wearing suits when I'm headlining at some point because it just pulled his whole outfit together. Professional. So
it kind of sets a tone. Like
it sets a tone, man. Like I'm a professional. And I love that. And so that's why I would say he's my favorite interaction so far.
Yeah, I like that.
Brief, but
the dog kind of helped break the ice for you too.
Essentially, yeah.
Because it like something happened, and then you were able to have that little interaction.
Yeah, I was able to say something outside of, "Hey," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's always awkward to figure out what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
I enjoyed meeting T.J. Miller. That was the guy.
Did you meet him? I don't remember.
I did. Well, I got lucky. So it was similar. I stayed way later, and then I bought one of his little. He was selling these hot sauce things. Remember he had those up on stage and he was selling those. So I bought one as an excuse just to say what's up, and everybody had already left. And I just said, "Hey, yeah, I'm just an open mic comic here in the area." And he asked me how long I've been doing it, and I could tell there was like a opening to have a little bit of a conversation. So he stayed and talked for like about 5 minutes, and
what's up?
that was I was just shaking like, oh my gosh, just don't say anything stupid, and be polite and don't stay too long. And
David's definitely like the nervous type. Like I'm not nervous, but you are definitely a little bit more like of a nervous type person than I am.
Yeah.
So I could imagine you like being like, "Ooh, this is my opportunity."
Yeah. Well, I geek out on celebrities, man. I fangirl out so hard, or fanboy, like whatever.
I still get trashed to this day because this is one we didn't mention, but me and him both met him at the same time. Mark Norman.
Dude, yeah.
I still get trashed for how much you fanboyed out. Like I get trashed.
Wait, what? Is that spreading around the?
No, it's not spreading, but it's just a run.
It's
just a running joke. Where Brandon was like, as soon as Jaylen saw him, he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Mark Norman." Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, and dude, I was in the tank for Mark Norman.
Yeah,
we can tell that story really quick. That was funny because, so Mark Norman, he's a pretty big time comic. I mean, he's kind of coming up. He hasn't broken big, but I'd followed a lot of his stuff. So Jaylen was in the DJ booth, and we saw him come out, and Jaylen was like, "Dude, you want to go meet him?" And I was like, "Oh, all right." So we went over there, and he fist bumped us, and he said, "Oh, you guys comics?" And we were like, I was like, "Yeah." And I'd been doing it like 4 months at that point.
Yeah.
And then what was the guy's name who was opening for him? I follow him still.
I didn't follow him, so I don't know. But
anyway, that guy said, "Hey, you guys want to come hang in the green room?" And then we both went down there and hung out a little bit before the show.
Yeah.
And then somebody had to come get me because I wasn't leaving.
That was me, folks. I had
you had to come get me.
Yeah, so I had to round you
and
up.
Then Mark was like, as I was leaving, he was like, "You're doing us a favor," and I was like, "Dude, dang it."
But one thing, like you do, like I already know you kind of took it as a joke, but I do think he meant it as a joke because that's one thing I'm loving about the more people I meet in stand-up comedy. Like, they're not afraid to bust balls, bro. And
no,
like,
man.
Like, no matter how new you are to them, they're gonna bust your balls.
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful in terms of on stage. If you're always in busting balls mode, you never have to turn it on. Essentially. Yeah. So like that's one thing.
And you can bust your own balls on stage too.
Yes.
As a protection for bombing.
Yes.
Like if things don't work, you're like, all right, well, you're fine with it. You don't let it crush you, so you're Because that's when it gets awkward. That's when the bombing gets awkward. Is if you can't make fun of yourself and you're clearly shit rattled. People are like, "Oh my gosh, what's this guy gonna do?"
The bombing's the worst. Is like, well, I guess we can start the questions.
No, you can keep going. I'll get into the questions. I don't want to hear about bombing.
Yeah, I was about to say the bombings that are usually the worst are like when you know that you're bombing, and so you're like, you know what? Let me go to one of my best jokes just to win them over.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start your best joke, you lose them even more, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when your best joke doesn't work, then you're like,
yeah, like you already know once my best thing ain't working.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna hate the rest of this.
Yeah.
You think this is bad.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that makes you question your life.
Like I was telling my roommate this last night, like even though like I've been doing it for a minute, it still crushes me just the bomb. Like not crushes, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like I go home that night like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's for me, it seems like the bombs always happen right after I have a great set. And I think, okay, I got to figure it out now. And then I go do a set and it's like, no, any room can be different. Any energy can be different. You come in the wrong way and somebody's in a weird mood. They're just not.
Stand-up is definitely the most humbling job I think there can ever be. Like,
yeah.
It's so humbling. Like you said, as soon as you're riding on that little high, it's just going to be like, you know what? You've been due for this. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah. God's about to humble you or something. I don't know if. But yeah, that's actually a good lead into this question. I wanted to hear your, like, a story about your biggest failure in life. Like, not even failure, but, like, the biggest dumpster fire story. It could be bombing on stage, but it could be just a horrible story where everything went wrong.
Where everything went wrong. All right. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of where everything went wrong, like as you said, because you texted me this earlier, I'm kind of young, so everything's going to seem trivial. And I know it's trivial at this point, but that's literally all I have to draw.
That's self-awareness, Jaylen. That's why you're great. I love it. No, that's cool, man. I had some trauma stories from high school.
Yeah, so I would just say where everything went wrong, the biggest failure of my life. So I would probably say when I was trying to calculate it, I was a sophomore-ish in high school. It has to do with a girl, by the way.
Okay, nice.
I was a sophomore in high school, and I liked this girl ever since my 6th grade year. So like,
oh wow,
it's a long crush. And I was a super shy guy, so like, like just nervous wreck. I was like kind of like this in normal person, but whenever it came to like her and other girls, I was fine with. But when it was her, I'm a nervous wreck. I'm shy. I don't know what I want to say.
Sure.
So like I said, I had that crush for so long, and what happened was she was 2 grades ahead of me. So I'm a sophomore. She's a senior. So she's graduating, and I'm on the graduation staff for her party that year. So like not party, but the ceremony that year. So I was the guy who holds each chick hand as they walk up on the stage and get their diplomas, and their mom's shouting, "Woo!" Right. Even though we beg y'all not to say nothing until that end, you know what I'm saying? They always do it.
Dude, that's your DJ coming in. You gotta always make sure the crowd's not being out of hand. Okay, no, continue.
So what happened was I was like, you know what? I've been holding on to this secret for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 years now. I think it's about time I let it out.
Wait, during the ceremony?
Yeah, well, not during the ceremony. It was like afterwards. So it's like,
okay.
Everybody's in the yard throwing up their hats and all that bull.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, now's my moment.
Yeah.
And so like I'm sifting through the crowd trying to find her. I'm looking. I can't find her anywhere. So I was like, dang, she'll never know. So I literally see her in the last second. Oh my gosh, why am I telling this story?
Dude, go ahead.
I see her the last second, and as I see her, I walk up to her and I say, "Hey, congratulations on graduating." She's like, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "All right, look, I know you leaving, blah, 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 blah. But I was just wondering if I can get your number because I really want to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better." And
that's fine. Nothing
fine,
to be ashamed of. Yeah,
nothing to be ashamed
I think
of.
that's great.
But her response, very audibly in front of everyone who was there at the graduation, was, "Boy, bye." And literally, all my friends were standing right there. And then her friends were right there as well. And her friends started dying laughing. My friends started dying laughing. And I was just like, okay. And I kind of laughed it off in the moment. But it was tragic for me for like the first time I openly let something out brutal. Like that. And then it was like, And so that what I probably would say is like biggest cluster.
Yeah, dude.
That ever happened to me. So.
Dude. Stories with women are brutal, man. It's tough being a guy. I don't feel like that gets talked about enough. Seriously, like going up to a girl, you have an idea how much courage that takes?
Right.
To go up and just, what do you say? That's not going to be like stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Especially the beautiful ones that you've had a crush on. It's like, dude.
Well, here's the thing that I understand from their standpoint is that any kind of niceness is treated as, oh, okay, she digs me. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if she was like, oh my gosh, Jaylen, da. In my mind, like, you know, more nice way of saying no. In my mind, I would have been like, oh, it's just because it was a bad moment in time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they kind of do have to let you down hard to let you get the message, because some guys don't even get that message.
No, there's a bunch of idiots out there that ruin it for.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying I think most idiots ruin it for like normal people.
Just like. Just aggressive. They chase too hard.
Yes, because now I think girls have like a bad gauge of what is weird or creepy. Because when I don't know if you ever like had a girl explain to you a story with a guy and she described it and then she's like, it was really weird, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? That's a normal interaction of how someone would approach you. What's wrong with that? Yeah,
like their guard is so far up that any sort of, you know, move is taken wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's actually a good analogy for stand-up, if anybody. I have a similar feeling of like not knowing where I stand with the audience before I start as I would approaching a new girl. Like I want to break the ice with her. Right. I want to get her comfortable. I want her to feel like this guy isn't, you know, unstable or like
it's like
and be confident without being cocky, kind of be snarky without being a real asshole.
Bro, listen to yourself right now. There are so many things we have to juggle in our head in a 15-second interview we have with a girl to win her over.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't think, like, in terms of that you say it's hard, that gets talked about. Like, you have to do all those things, not in 15 seconds, but...
Yeah. You kind of do, dude, because it's your body language says something, your tone, your smile. I mean, I think all of that. I mean, I try to, I think there's a little parallel there with stand-up.
Look at you, analogies.
Yeah, dude, we're breaking new ground. This is brilliant.
I told you it was good. Well, you told me it was going to be fun, and I agreed.
Yeah. So, okay. So why did you start doing stand-up comedy?
All right. Sorry if I'm long-winded, by the way. You may have a lot to edit with this podcast. But the reason I started doing stand-up was, so my senior year of high school, I moved back to my original high school because I was taking school in Columbia, but then my family wanted to move back to my hometown my senior year. Cool. That's what I wanted to happen anyway. So I moved back, and as I'm moving my stuff into our house, my friends come, they greet me, and they're like, yo, bro, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yo, what's up, boys? And they was like, yo, have you heard about that Kevin Hart laugh at my pain yet, bro? Because like they referenced the joke, and it was like, yeah, that's so funny. And I was like,
so is his special?
Yeah, have you seen that? Yeah,
I haven't. I don't know if I've seen that one. Is that one of his early specials?
I consider it the one that blew him up. Because he was already kind of Kevin Hart at that point, but that took him to the next level, because essentially the next one was that one that was a really big budgeted stand-up special. Not that none of them before weren't. It was just, you could tell the level of production quality superseded.
So was that your first stand-up special you had seen?
That was my first stand-up special I seen. And so like everyone was like, yeah, bro. And they was like, yeah, have you seen it? And I was like, no, what's Laugh at My Pain? They was like, oh, it's stand-up comedy. And remember, I'm a 17-year-old. I'm like, what is stand-up comedy? They're like, bro, you don't know what stand-up comedy is?
Yeah.
I was like, no. And they was like, well, go get the special and watch it out. So I begged my mom to go find me Laugh at My Pain. That day or that night, she found a bootleg copy, brought it home to me.
That's a good mom.
I was right. Like,
yeah.
I popped it in, started watching it. And David, when I say I was dying laughing, and I just never felt in my life that I wanted to try something more than this, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, so dope. I would love to be doing something like this. And so at the time, we didn't have cable at our house, so I had to just watch whatever DVDs we had. And once I saw Laugh in My Pain, I watched that every day from when I got home to school to when I went to bed.
Wow.
Just on repeat. And so, like, I watched it so much to where his mannerisms kind of built into my brain.
Yeah.
And so I would go into school kind of talking and acting like him a little bit. And people used to tell me, like, oh, you're funny, Jaylen. You should try stand-up. And I was like, really? You got to try it? Like, yeah, definitely, for sure. And so I told myself then, I was like, if I ever get the opportunity to try stand-up comedy, I'm going to do it. And so I went to Clemson that next year. I always knew they had talent shows, and I was like, oh, I can do that as my talent and try and see if I can get people to laugh. I always chickened out. So, like, freshman year chickened out, sophomore year chickened out.
Okay.
And then the end of my junior year, I was going through a little identity crisis because I was like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, and I know that.
Right.
I can do it well because I can fit the mold, but I knew I wouldn't be happy.
Sure.
So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do in my life. And so I was just like, I'm going to just take a chance at stand-up one random day, because I was listening to Bill Burr, and he was talking about how if you do have an inkling to want to try it, just go out and try it, and you'll know whether or not you want to keep doing it.
Right.
And so this is another motivating factor for me. In his thing, he said he started at 23. At the time, I was 22 years old, and I'm hyper competitive. So what I did in my mind, I was like, to make me want to go out and do it, I said, I want to start before Bill Burr started. So I was like, I'm going to go since I'm 22 right now.
I love that.
And I beat him. And so
I love that.
I went out, signed up, did it, and now we're here, man. I've been doing it ever since. Like, literally haven't missed any significant time, maybe like a week or two at most.
Yeah.
So that's where
That's great, man.
Started.
I like the story of the procrastination of, those talent shows, and you kind of had it in your mind. And
yeah, right.
And it's great you had that competitiveness in you. I think that's hilarious. Those little, because I do the same things, like those mental things, like I'm going to do this before this date, and I'll just make that,
exactly.
a goal in my head just for me, but it helps motivate me. And I think you have a big advantage on like so many of the comics you see, because there's guys who procrastinated for years, so the fact that you've started when you have is great, because you'll have decades ahead of, well, definitely me. I started at 32.
Ooh.
I was 31. So yeah. But yeah, man, that's awesome.
Thank you, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you. If you don't mind me asking, can we get your story really quick?
Yeah, really quick. Yeah.
Have you told it on the podcast yet?
No, I try to talk about the guests more, but
I just want to hear it.
All right, I'll tell you really quick. So I was I work in a job it's an amazing job, an amazing career, and I had a lot of goals for myself in sales, and I hit those goals and it was really rewarding, really challenging, and I basically I hit kind of almost the top at my previous territory in Atlanta, and then I moved to Greenville, and I got turned down for a job. So I interviewed for a job that would have been a promotion in marketing, and it would have been something more creative. And I had an inkling, because I was still unhappy in a certain part of my life, really unhappy, not being creative. And I didn't know what to do with that. I had no idea like what form my creativity could take, but I thought maybe marketing, that'd be good. And then I got turned down for that, and I bombed the interview, dude. I mean, I made some mistakes, and I realized I had a lot of soul searching to do in terms of my own kind of just getting feedback. Like in sales, you're kind of off on an island, and you're not really you're not around people as much. So like I needed to kind of get centered again and find out like, okay, and so it was kind of like I was really discouraged by not getting that job, and I was like, man, what am I going to do now? And I'm just going to do sales and not be super happy. So yeah, I was like, well, I don't know what else I could do. Then COVID hit. Then during COVID, my company asked me to do a little funny video. Okay. And I wrote a sketch, did a video, and that was the first time I wrote something funny only for being funny's sake. And I was like, that was the most fun I've had
And so I was up till like 3 a.m. writing the script for this little video. And
I would never put that much work in, even for school. And you did it for like a 5-minute video.
I know, and I love the video editing thing, and I nerded out, and I was like, man, that was fun. Holy crap. So that to me was like a clue as to like, maybe that could be something.
Right.
And stand-up, I've been obsessed with Jerry Seinfeld, the show Seinfeld more so since I was in elementary school. And similar to your Kevin Hart story, I would watch those and practically memorize episodes and listen to them before I went to bed. And
yes.
So I knew what stand-up was with Jerry, and one of the comics here in Greenville invited me to an open mic in July, and that was the first night. That was when I met you for the first time. And it wasn't even just, there was another thing that happened. I threw out my back, and I had back surgery in the middle of COVID. And that was kind of another low point. It was like, okay, I'm not selling anything. I got turned down for a job, and I threw my back out, and I'm recovering from back surgery. And I couldn't put on pants. That was why I was wearing gym shorts.
I remember you telling me this now.
Yeah, and I couldn't put on shoes, so that was why I had flip-flops. So when I went on stage the first time, I was kind of limping up there. So I was at a low point.
And I'm just up here like, look at this misogynist douchebag. Like, who invited this guy? You can barely walk.
Yeah, exactly. So, but dude, I mean, it was that was what it took to get me over the procrastination.
Right.
Not that I'd been thinking a lot about stand-up over those years, but it was just I didn't care anymore, and I wanted to, do something. And so yeah, that was my story of getting out. And since then, I can't tell you how much happier and more balanced. And I told you this, like with work, I feel sales takes courage. Sales takes certain aspects of stand-up that kind of cross over. And even though I'm busier by doing stand-up and work, like I've never had more fun doing both jobs now. Wow. So I'm really grateful to have found it. But, I'll stop talking. That was kind of a long-winded story too. But
no, you're good, man. You're good.
But yeah, man. So who's your favorite comic?
Favorite comic. I know it off the top of my head. My knee-jerk reaction is Dave Chappelle. One of my, literally the Wilder specials elude me at the time. I know it.
Killing Them Softly?
Killing Them Softly. I was singing the song in my head to get to where the lyrics are.
Yeah.
But yeah, Killing Them Softly is one of the best stand-ups. And then the one right after that, where he was wearing the gray kind of sweatsuit with the orange shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one. That was the special. I heard the best joke I ever heard in my life told when he...
Remind me of the joke. I might...
He goes, everyone loves George Washington because they think he founded America. And if me and my friend went back in a time machine and we saw George Washington, I'm just paraphrasing his joke, by the way. He goes, if me and my friend went back in time and we saw George Washington, he would be like, oh, look, Dave, that's George Washington, the father of our great nation. I'm going to go shake his hand. And he went up and shook his hand. And Dave was like, if I get back and I see George Washington, I'm going to be like, run, nigga, it's George Washington. And we both be right. And I was like, oh, my gosh, that is so beautiful and true at the same time. The depth in that joke. And I'm sorry, Dave Chappelle. I'm not taking no credit for that joke.
No,
that's yours,
no,
100%.
dude.
It's just the best joke I've ever heard.
Dude, I love Chappelle. I think he's one of my top 5 favorite comics, if not in the top 2. I mean, but yeah, that's a great one. The one joke I love of his in Killing Them Softly is when they're talking about the terrorists taking control of the plane. And there's the white guy. He does the voice suppression of the white guy. He's like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
I think those black guys are gonna try to save us." And he's like, "Mm." And he does that back and forth, and
the punchline of that one is also awesome when he's like, terrorists don't take black hostages. And that kind of begs the question of why. What do you mean? And then he does the act out of hello, we've got 3 black, hello.
hello. Yeah.
I hate that we're telling his
Everybody
jokes
get
right
on
now.
the effing ground. Nobody look at my face.
Oh,
he's Chinese. I was like, why is he talking like that?
Bro, just hilarious. Straight up hilarious. Jeez.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love that stuff. I mean, Chappelle's different now. I mean, he does more serious things. He does more social commentary and things like that, which is awesome. I mean, he's entitled, but yeah, man, Chappelle's awesome. I could talk about him for a while. But we got to get to Comedy Zone in a little bit here. So
yeah.
I got a couple more questions for you. So in your, are you 23 now? 24. In your 24 years, what is your biggest regret?
Excuse me. Biggest regret.
Kind of a heavy question, I know.
Yes, slightly heavy. When I read it this morning, I was like,
you're like, my life's pretty cool. I don't
know. My biggest regret.
Anything you regret doing or not doing?
So my biggest regret would probably be, okay, so since I kind of BS'd around in college, like I took a little longer than I was supposed to. I did an extra year. And with that extra year, my grandfather passed away. And right before he passed away, literally the year before, he was telling me as I was going back to school, he was like, one thing I want you to do for me, son. And he was like, I ain't never asked you for nothing in your life. I just need this one thing for you. Just graduate from college for me. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it for you, Granddad. I'm going to do this one thing for you. Because at the time, I was just like not in the school. I could pass it and do it. It was just like.
So had he not said that, do you think you may not have finished your degree?
I probably would have finished, but it wouldn't. It gave me a kick in the butt that I needed to do it more proudly and something like because at the time I would be taking like 13 credit hours, so that's essentially like 4 classes a semester. Yeah, easy track. And so once he said that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of school, get my life together, do what I need to do. So I started taking 18 credit hours, 20 credit hours, doing whatever kind of studying I needed to do to pass classes. And that following semester that he told me that, he passed away. And I was just sad because I was like, oh, dang, he didn't get to see me do it. But my grandmother did. And so she also asked the same thing of me. Sure. So it was just like, I'm glad one of them got to see me do it.
Yeah. That's a really cool, special story, man.
Thank you, man.
Very good. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received is, it comes up for me a lot just because I have to tell people this a lot, but people only act how you allow them to, or they only treat you how you allow them to treat you. And so like, I more so say it to people now because it's kind of a rule ingrained in my head. I can't even tell you who told me it, but I just remember like whenever like any of my friends or me in general just wonder why like this person is doing this to me or this person is doing that to me. And it's only because I'm allowing them to do that. Like, at some point you have to take that responsibility and be like, you know what? I'm also at fault for the way that you're treating me right now. It's my fault that I'm allowing this to happen, because if I don't tolerate, like I'm the type of person, I don't tolerate a lot of like disrespect. So like, if I don't like you and I feel like you're getting like off a bad foot with me, I would be like, all right, bro, don't even talk to me, cut you off, won't talk to you ever again, And so I got like that from that saying, in the sense of that, like I used to try and be like the nice guy and be like, oh, I can win them over eventually, just keep working at it. Just keep chalking it bit by bit. And then you just get to the point where you're like, bump that. I'm going to just be like, if you don't want to be cool and respect me how I respect you. Yeah.
You stand up for yourself. You show a little bit of your teeth, like you're not going to be messed around with. Dude, I think that's a great one. That's a lesson I've had to learn over the years. Because when I grew up, I was really like, I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to appease everyone. I wanted to be well liked. I would suck up. I would try to get good grades. I would try to like just be the nice person. But like, if you're always only that, then people can walk all over you. Yeah. So there's a really good thing. Jordan Peterson talks about it. And there's a verse in the Bible, too, that talks about it. It's blessed are the meek. And meek, when you hear the word meek, I think it's the word. I don't want to get this wrong. But meekness you think meek, you think, oh, that just means you're going to submit to everyone. You're going to be a little bitch, basically. But the actual definition is kind of more like you have a sword, but you keep it sheathed, sort of. So you can, I think meek is the word. I hope I didn't get that wrong. But it's basically learning to develop some people call it the shadow, but the part of your personality that could come out and be dangerous,
right,
but not have to use it. But then, people can sense that about you, and that makes you a better version of yourself than always being nice and always laying down and always allowing people to treat you a certain way. I think is a version of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because like I actually, when you started explaining that, I was thinking back to memories in time. Because it's not that I just recently learned this. Like I've always a little different than you. I've always been the type of guy where I would do my own thing.
Yeah.
In terms of like not just like a kind of outcast or anything like that. I was just a kid who if I was still watching Power Rangers in high school, and I didn't care if people cared. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, bro. I remember I'm walking around school talking to my friends about Power Rangers, and people used to be like, y'all still watch Power Rangers, bro?
Yeah.
Da. Now I would quiet down. I wouldn't talk as loudly, but I would still whisper.
Right.
The Pink Ranger still is pretty hot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so like I didn't care, but I just like over time I started hearing people tell me this. They were just like, man, because everyone says you seem super chill, but it just seems like if you were to have a switch flipped, it would be bad. And I'm like, I don't know why everybody thinks that, but it goes back to what you're saying. Maybe that like I have a kind of shadow that people are aware of around me, so they do tend to respect.
You're a little dangerous.
Yeah.
You got to have that. If you don't, there's nothing really noble about that. You're just
not bragging, by the way. I don't mean to brag. If that comes up as bragging.
It's a little cocky, Jaylen.
Thank you.
No, man, that's great. Well, dude, before we sign off here, where can people find you on social media, your comedy?
Social media, everything is just my name, Jaylen Orr. I don't know if he does the little box thing. Should I point down here? Or
I don't know if I'll do the box thing. Maybe spell it if I don't.
Okay, Jaylen Orr. Super easy.
Excellent.
By the way, I guess we could talk about this after. You can go ahead and end the podcast.
No, say it.
Okay, I was going to ask, do you think like stage names are important in the sense of that? Like I heard someone called by just their first name the other day, and I was like, that sounds so terrible as a stage name. Like imagine if, because I had to call them up. I was like, all right, everybody, welcome up your next comic to the stage, Kev.
Yeah, I think you need a first and last name.
Okay, yeah.
I think you do, or some kind of stage name.
Yeah, you definitely need a stage name with some presence to it.
So that's bonus commentary for you guys. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and don't kill yourself.
I love you, David's mom and dad.
All right, bye, guys.